Well, hi there, people. We are here. Wow, it looks so dark. Doesn't matter. We are here, and CSGO is over. We do have to wait until the teams actually set themselves up on stage and all that jazz, but to keep you company, we have got an analyst panel for you. So I will go ahead and we will actually go back to where the brackets are right now, because we will have a game very, very soon. When I say very, very soon, I'm doing like 30 minutes or so. And I just have to add someone's Twitter for a second. There we go. Because, let me introduce to you the people that will keep you company for the next 30 minutes, as we have got K-poptosis, of course, in the bottom left corner. We've got Kanaz on the top right corner. I am sitting in the bottom right corner, and of course the host for the panel is Vykromond in the top left corner. Vykromond, take it away.
Alright, so we saw VP and IC Cup play earlier today. VP did take that series out 2-0. IC Cup had some good ideas, but I guess didn't go in with the full killing intent, didn't manage to do it. So now we move into Quantic vs. Alliance, our second series of the day, our last series of the day, the Winnersbracket semi-final. And this is going to be an interesting one. I guess the most important story, the one that everybody's going to want to talk about, I feel, is Quantic are playing with a not their usual lineup. So Sakshka, I think, broke his hand. I still can't figure out, is it hand or arm or
hand.
Some sort of hand.
Hand injury.
So yeah, definitely an injury that makes it pretty difficult to play professional video games. So he's out for about a week or 2 weeks, and he was unable to attend StarLadder. And they have Black from Mouse standing in, and of course, having any stand-in is always a difference in your play. But Black isn't just any stand-in; he's a very well-known European player, a famous carry, a very very hard carry style, and I think. Somebody said, I think it was you, K-pop, you said that Sheever, you said that they have Black standing in the carry role. That's what they confirmed to you, so...
Yes.
How do you think that's going to change things up for Quantic? I guess just at the most basic level. Is this good or bad for them? Is this something that'll help them because it'll be unpredictable, or what?
Well, first I want to say already that the lobby's actually up, so people can already start joining that.
Well, damn.
I know, super fast. It just means that the casters switch faster than the players. I mean, that makes sense, right? But sure. I think actually, with Black in the carry role, it can actually work out amazing for them. I think in the previous pre-show we discussed that like Quantic has been a bit more predictable in their unpredictableness, if that makes sense.
Right.
Like since then, since DreamHack, I think actually, and what also K-pop at the time said, Silent is not that experienced carry. He moves around a lot, and Black in their lineup kind of opens up more possibilities for them. I think. I think it can be working out either very well or it will be a bit awkward. But I'm assuming they have practiced, even though it was so short notice though. Like only. Tuesday night, I asked Sheever, like, who do you have as a stand-in, and he's like, I don't know, like, you go the typical offlaner. So for example, Bone7 couldn't make it. He had exams. Koikva couldn't make it, and it's like at some point it was even talk in having Casper, the Russian caster, standing in for him, and it's like, okay, that's gonna be awkward.
How good is Casper? Is he pro level?
I don't know.
Is he as good as you?
I think he's a little bit
established
better.
In a recent cast.
I think he's a little bit better. Yes.
All right. Well, that's pretty good then.
Yeah. So.
All right. Yeah. So Black standing in. Obviously, they would have liked an offlaner. Sakshka does play that 3 role for them. Right. Sometimes it's a very farming 3. So he used to play the 1 role. So I think he takes that 3 role in a more farming route than some other players do. But still, it's a big change to put Silent on wherever he's going to end up being, whether that be the 3 or. Even if he goes back to support. It's a big change. So, K-pop, do you think this makes a difference for their drafts? Are they going to prioritize hard carries a lot more than they would? I know you said there was a stat that they end their games faster than anybody.
Right. Quantic, like I said before, that Silent isn't that experienced as a carry. It's not that he's not good as a carry, it's just he hasn't played a whole lot of games in the role. He was primarily like an offlaner, he played some support for them. I think he was mainly a support for DD in the past. So in their games over the last month or so, they've been finishing their games faster than just about anybody, and definitely faster than anybody that's here at Kiev today. Their wins were done in like 30 minutes and a half, I think.
Sure.
So they were trying to go for really early game lineups so they wouldn't have to depend on Silent late in the game. And so he would get earlier game carries and move around the map and that kind of thing. And now, I think with Black, they're going to be going for a more, let's farm Black up, let's do what Black does best. We'll probably do our own stuff on the side. We'll try to make things happen because we're Quantic and that's what we do. But we'll have Black to rely on. So I think that they will prioritize Black heroes, but I wouldn't expect them to play that differently, really. I'm going to expect to still see a lot of aggression out of them.
Okay. Kanaz, what do you think? Do you think they should go for more heroes oriented around what Black has been playing with Mouse, or should they just play their own game and see how Black fits into it?
I think that the best way to really go about it is to hope that Black can work with what they've been doing already, what their teamwork has been thus far, the kind of strategies they're running. I'm sure that they can try and pick out maybe a little bit harder of a carry to fit with Black, but they're still going to be going with more aggressive strategies, I would expect. Just because a lot of their teamwork has been designed around these strategies. Also, Golak, a lot of their success has been on the back of his drafts, innovating, picking these very aggressive lineups that work very well. And I think completely abandoning that doesn't feel like the way you want to go into a tournament this big, like the finals, going up against Alliance right off the bat. You can't just say, well, we'll just play really safe standard Dota and hope it works out and Black carries us through it, because that's going to be really problematic for you. So I expect them to probably still play pretty aggressive, and maybe they'll pick up something from Black. Maybe he ends up on Gyrocopter a bit if it makes it through and plays like an aggressive Gyro. Yeah. Definitely a hero we've seen from him before. Yeah, and it's a hero that Silent plays as well, so it's definitely something we know they've oriented around. I guess let's follow up. I know I'm bringing this up for the third time today, but I want to talk about it. Because we talked a little about Treant earlier in the day, and we sort of saw at least a test run for Treant in the first IC Cup game. Didn't go great, but then again, IC Cup were never, the team known for their Treant play. That was Quantic. So what does this change for them, if anything? Kanaz, do you think Treant could still be a factor, or do you think Quantic is just going to completely back off from the pick entirely? Well, we saw Treant picked up in the first game. It didn't work out great. The second game, it did get banned out first ban phase.
Yeah,
so even though it didn't work that well, VP still thought it was at least strong enough that they wanted it out after playing against it once. I don't know. I expect that Quantic, if they get a chance to run it and it works with the strategy Golak's really going for, something aggressive or even maybe very defensive if they want to run it that way, they could still pick up a tree and Golak can run it sort of as a jungler. I think this nerf is pretty harsh. It makes the living armor much less effective at early levels, but it's still pretty good. It's still a powerful ability. It's very annoying to lane against. And I don't know, I could still see them picking it up in this game if Alliance gives them the chance.
Sheever, what about you? Do you think that they'll have do you think they've prepared more pocket picks? We'll see some weirder lineups. Could we see OD Pugna or something? Or do you think that Quantic will mostly just try to adapt to Black and play a little more standard?
Well, I hope that they're going to be having something else in mind, but I'm afraid they're going to be sticking to their guns. I mean, Train Protector, we saw him earlier today, and I think it was when he was in the same team as a Broodmother. Broodmother got a gank, and like the charges that were there, they were like gone within seconds, within a second, and that was just really tough. I have actually the stats up on the screen right now, where Quantic stats are in terms of supports. They've got they've got about 33 games played for Goblak at least, where he actually drafted, and he played Treant 8 times, and he only lost once with that, and that's a pretty good record. But I'm actually thinking he can't really rely on that all too much. We see Undying and Keeper of Light. They were the 3 heroes that are here that are listed are the most played hero top 3. And if you then think that the top is 8 and the two below that are third, only 3 times played, I think they're a bit crippled if they want to go away from that Train Protector. And I think they'll find that Train Protector isn't that much of a strong hero as they normally counted on. However, having said that, they do take refuge into the Viper a couple of times. Same thing goes for Alliance, by the way. I'm expecting a more even game right now than it was at DreamHack, purely because of the Train Protector. I'm hoping that Alliance is actually going to let it through. We know that the previous games that Alliance won against Quantic were actually a DreamHack. It was, at that point, Alliance, in both games that they won, they banned out OD and Treant. No excuses. That was just that.
Right. Yeah.
So
And yeah, you've got the support matchup lined up there. I think that's one of the most important things to the matchup. We've talked a lot about Quantic so far. I guess let's change tack a little bit and talk about Alliance. For this support pair, for Ake and fucking Mad, what do you think the... Sorry. Goodness gracious, that was one support from each team. For Ake and EGM, what do you think their main goals are going to be against this Quantic team? Is it just target Black very heavily and try to pick that apart? Or do you think that they should be doing something else, maybe taking control of mid? What are the main roles they need to take, K-pop?
Going back and forth, because we see someone like Bucking Mad who does a lot of... I said this the other day on stream, I think, when Quantic was playing, I can't remember who it was, but I said, watch that 4-minute gank on Radiant side at 4 minutes with Bane, because every time Bucking Mad gets Bane, that's what he does. Yeah. It's something that they really like to do a lot, is pick up some heroes like that and just go and make space around the map, really. So I think when they're playing somebody like Alliance, I think that's going to be their main point. I mean, Bulldog is usually so good at not giving in to a lot of like roaming support pressure. Yeah. He does really well in fighting against it, getting out safely, pulling some weird entangle crap and getting out. But that's something they're really going to have to do. If they are roaming, they're going to have to roam and be successful. They're going to have to get kills off of it. Alliance will, for sure.
I think Alliance, in general, probably regarded as the favorites for this matchup, no less so than, I mean, now that Quantic has to play with a stand-in, but if Alliance has weaknesses, what are they? What's sort of exploitable? Not just for this matchup, but in the tournament in general. Kanaz, any thoughts?
I think one of Alliance's biggest weaknesses is if you can shut down S4 really hard in the mid lane. In a general sense, S4 usually plays very, very well in mid and ends up moving around on the map and really creating the space needed for either Admiral Bulldog or Loda, or potentially both, to really get the farm they need to start carrying in the game, depending on what heroes those two players end up with. So S4 almost always ends up with something where he can get a little bit of farm early, maybe like a Dragon Knight, Magnus, obviously, kind of famous for his Magnus play. Sure. And then moves around and ends up getting a ton of kills. So if you can really shut down the rotation from S4, I think that's one of the biggest ways to try and shut down Alliance's real mid-game dominance.
Yeah. Another question sort of about playing against Alliance. So you mentioned Bulldog getting his farm and how a lot of times S4 will sort of create that space over time for Bulldog and Loda to farm up. Admiral Bulldog, Lone Druid, a hero that got nerfed in some respects, I guess slightly buffed, but he's faded out of almost every team except Alliance. If you're playing against Alliance, do you ban Lone Druid, or do you potentially let him go and face Bulldog's wrath? That's for you, Kanaz.
I think that Lone Druid, the nerf they really gave to him basically turned him into what he was before everyone discovered Armlet Bug. I'm considering it a bug, I guess, at this point, because they didn't end up fixing it. The only other thing is that the bounty from the bear is obviously 3 times as much as it was before, which is a lot. And so if you let your bear die quite a bit, it can be very problematic for your team. You're just giving away tons of gold. It's more than both familiars from the Visage at that point. Yeah. But it's still a very powerful hero. Admiral Bulldog, obviously famous for his Lone Druid play, and he does a very good job of it. But if you ban it out, you're just you can't ban out every hero that Admiral Bulldog plays well. You can't take out Nature's Prophet. He can play Bounty Hunter very well, and if you force them into a Bounty Hunter game, Alliance will pick a very aggressive strategy and just try and push you out. And I mean, that could be very entertaining for us because Quantic also typically pick very aggressive strategies, but they're very good at it. Their rotations are strong. They work well as a team. And I don't think that you can just ban everything out that Admiral Bulldog plays, even though some people would suggest that's the case. If you want to take Lone Druid out, you're afraid about that particular carry. It's certainly an idea. You can take that one hero out, but just trying to target ban Admiral Bulldog the entire draft is not going to work.
Definitely. And following on from something you said, you mentioned maybe Alliance will sort of take a more aggressive tack, predicting that Quantic might be a little more passive with Black. Sheever, what do you think Alliance's playstyle for this? Do they change their approach against Quantic in response to the stand-in? Do you think they play standard, or do they try to sort of diversify, be more aggressive, use Aki and EGM more as sort of a roaming pair than they normally would?
I think they're going to be just doing the same thing they've always done. I think they said in one of their interviews after the G1 league that was actually the way that they play, that they train. They don't necessarily prepare specific strats for teams, even though, of course, versus Quantic they did kind of adjust their draft a little bit. But they said, like, okay, you know what, we're going to focus purely on us. And, you know, if indeed there are, like, we have got these signature heroes, right? You've got Lone Druid and Nature's Prophet for Admiral Bulldog. We've got, of course, Aki's Chen and Visage. And, you know, you can go on like that because S4's got some strong heroes. You only have 5 bans. If you're going to start, like, and every one of these players knows more than just those 2 heroes that you ban or that you would ban. And they're actually okay with having those kind of heroes banned out. They also said that once in an interview, saying, like, you know what, if they want to ban out our signature heroes, fine. Because we train more than those, and that just means that they're going to be up against something that they're not going to be prepared for, perhaps, that they haven't seen that often before. And I'm thinking they're just going to continue doing what we are used to from them. Though I have to say, they haven't been looking too sharp lately, as in they haven't been on a dominating 100% win streak. I do. I would favor
not
that in
100%.
this matchup, though.
They're not 100% now.
They're not. No,
So,
there's
yeah.
at some heroes, they're 93%. It's like, oh my god,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
It's kind of painful.
If I could still say something about the banning of the Lone Druid and banning with Alliance. Going back, and so Quantic and Alliance have played 7 times over the last month or so, yeah. And Quantic has won 3 of those games. They're 3-4 against Alliance, which is pretty good for most teams because Alliance is as good as they are. And the one commonality between all 3 of those games is that their first ban was Lone Druid. And these were all after the patch. So it's if I'm Goblak, I ban Admiral Bulldog heroes. I ban Nature's Prophet, I ban Lone Druid first thing. Because those heroes are, I want to make Bulldog uncomfortable because Loda can play anything. S4 has a wide pool. Ake has a wide pool, as does EGM for the most part. And Admiral Bulldog plays good with a lot of heroes too, but he is just so good at Furion and Lone Druid. So he's the person that I want to make have to pick a hero that he's not that experienced with relative to Nature's Prophet and Lone Druid. I think that's how you beat. I think that's how you beat Alliance, is make Admiral Bulldog uncomfortable.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting stat that the 3 they've won, they've all done the same thing. So, yeah, maybe they should just go with what works. And I guess the other thing I wanted to sort of pick your brain about is Sheever has been mentioning the sort of form of Alliance. What is the form of these recent teams, statistically speaking? I haven't gotten a chance to really catch a lot of Alliance's games lately. Are they still very sharp, even not just on a win rate scale, but on their individual performance?
They seem to be. All the games that they've played recently have been right on point. What they excel at is farming up every player on their team. And no matter what they're doing, they're getting golden experience. If they're in because it's something that we saw earlier today with IC Cup trying to go for a 5-man push strat, and it worked for the first 20 minutes of the game. They were up in towers, they were up in gold, they were up in kills. But being grouped up for as long as they were, they lost out on the experience and ended up losing. Alliance would do something like that and still find some way to have all 5 of their heroes at max level with farm. They lead all other teams in average team GPM. All other teams. Nobody beats them. Wow. So they do the best job of any team I've ever seen, and even more so recently, of making sure nobody on their team really gets left behind. Like, you never have a level 11 support for them really just like scared like he's not going to do anything. And he's just going to take away from the team with Alliance. They seem to be good at having everybody where they need to be.
Sure. All right, so let's go ahead and make some predictions now. I want to make some predictions. So I feel like I'm getting a sense, but I want to hear everybody sort of put their money down. Kanaz, who takes the series? Quantic, Alliance, Winnersbracket semifinal. What's the score?
2-1 Alliance.
2-1. All right. What's the one game that Quantic takes? Game 1? Game 2?
Game 2. I think he'll take Game 2.
With a gimmick strat or with just Black taking over?
I mean, it's hard to say. Are all strats Quantic really gimmicks if you want to go that route? They run aggressive lineups. If you want to consider that a gimmick, then yeah, I think they'll play something very aggressive. And if they do take a game off Alliance, and I expect they will, it'll probably be with something that Alliance just really isn't expecting. So if that's gimmicky, then it is. But I think they'll be able to at least take one of the first two off of them.
Fair enough. All right, K-pop.
I feel the same. I feel like Alliance is just too good right now. Quantic is a team that's had their number more than any other team, so I think it will go to 3 games. But if this was regular Quantic with Sakshka, I could maybe think that they would take it. Not because I think Black is not better than Sakshka. It's just they haven't been able to work together. They haven't been able to practice very much together. And I think that's really going to hurt them. I think first game they'll probably get stomped pretty hard because they're not used to having Black. But I think they'll take the second game and then lose again in the third in a real close match. But I think Alliance will win out.
All right. I want to give Sheever the last word on this, so I'll get a little bit in edgewise. I think Alliance 2-0, honestly. The issue is not that Black isn't an amazing player, because of course he is. The issue is just, I mean, this was, their last choice? Like, I mean, I'm sure they would have probably preferred Black to, for instance, having Casper. No offense to Casper, great caster, but obviously Black is a much finer twist than that. But just having your one, and it's a one with a completely different style from the one you normally run, even if it doesn't pull them into playing a different style. I mean, we were talking earlier, Black used to stand in and just play things like Sand King, which I'm sure he's still fantastic at, but I think it's hard to overstate just how hard it is to actually play, especially a LAN event, where stuff like internal player communication and your relative comfort level matters even more. For a multinational team like Quantic, where it's already a challenge, having the Frenchies and the Russians and then speaking English collaboratively, Black's English is fantastic, but it's that extra level of communication, extra level of coordination that I just don't feel there's any chance they've gotten in the last few days. Now, tomorrow, in the next round, or even going on into Saturday and Sunday, I think they could make it happen, but today I don't see them taking a game. Sheever, am I wrong?
Well, I hate to be the person that says yes, Alliance is gonna take it 2-1. I would have actually said 2-1. Like, if nobody else has answered before, I would have said 2-1 for Alliance. But
everyone else having faith in Quantic changed your faith in Quantic.
Everybody else not having faith in Quantic makes me think I'm gonna change my strat around. So what has been said after DreamHack is that after the coin toss for the third game, it was decided the person with the first pick, they won the game. And I thought it was Aki that said the moment that we knew the coin toss was favoring us, we knew we had it. And Goblak said, without hearing Aki first, the moment that we saw the coin toss going the other way, we thought, fuck. So, well, he probably doesn't think that way, but, it was not good. So I'm thinking 1-1. I'm actually going to say Quantic takes a second for the same reason as one of you said, because they're just unfamiliar with working versus Black. But it could also work the other way around, that Alliance isn't used to facing Quantic with Black in it. So, actually, I'm going to say it the other way around because it has been said. So Quantic takes game 1, Alliance take game 2 because they're going to get used to facing Black. And then whoever wins the coin toss for the third game takes a series.
All right. Okay, fair enough. And then that's a very conditional pick, but I like it. All right, well, that's I think that's all we've got for the panel for this game. We should be having the players. We do have the players coming in right now, so should be up and running in a bit. And I guess we'll kick it to you, Sheever.
Well, yeah, I don't really have that much oh my god. Oh, please don't tell me they're gonna be having numbers as names. Yeah, we Goblak is already. Goblak used to be known as.
Is Quantic gonna fake Nick again?
Goblak used to be known as 333, so we know that one. I think fucking Mad is gonna be 777 because of course his F is a 7.
He starts with a 7.
So that's good. We'll find out who's who. But that's the only 2 players that are in the lobby so far. So before we jump ourselves out of this, I just want to go over real fast, who the actual teams are and who's playing what role and what signature is. Just, introduce them.
Should do that.
And, I have made these overlays, so I kind of want to make them work. So, yeah, I'll...
Real proud of the overlays.
I am real proud of the overlays. Hell. It's hard.
They're good.
Well, actually,
these
aren't mine. I have to credit Daniel for these because I didn't make these.
Yeah,
but
Daniel did an awesome job.
Yes. He's also, of course, the person that made this awesome Flash overlay, people. For if you were thinking about doing stuff, make Flash overlays. And, you can help almost any caster with that because almost no caster uses it. So, we've got Loda, of course, playing the carry for Alliance. Lifestealer, PA, I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of those too as well, or at least this tournament. Yeah, Gyrocopter could be one of those as well. We have got S4 playing the mid. TA is actually sitting in there as well. I'm not really expecting too much of these 2 heroes, though. He has been playing a lot of Clockwork lately, so I'm expecting one of those. No surprise, the offlane for Bullock, we already discussed that. Aki support. He actually has a Venomancer as one of his signature heroes, officials.
He plays it a lot.
He does?
He does.
Oh, I actually was going to say like that was a while ago, but I guess he's been taking
He's
it back
played-
a little bit.
He played it a couple times the other day.
Okay, well, I think we can add Visage to that as well, though.
Yes, he plays a lot of heroes.
Yeah, an EGM, Rubik, Wisp, but then again, he is famous on a lot of heroes. By the way, he has a 93 win rate on the Rubik in professional games. 93.
Really?
93!
That's
sick.
pretty high win rate. How big is the sample size?
20
That's
something?
since
Wait, I can pull it up
That's
right
since the
now.
patch, isn't it?
Since the
That's
patch.
since the patch,
That
isn't
is
it?
since the
Yeah.
patch. By the way, all of our stats are only from the new patch, so only for 6.78b. And I will pull up the stats right now for the supports. It is over. He has played 15 games, only dropped 1. And he has played a total of 67 games of support. Yeah, it's sick. 93%.
That is pretty sick.
It is pretty sick. Can Vykromond, you want to introduce Quantic and who is playing which? I will put on.
Sure,
the
I'd be
stats
happy
again.
to. You want to switch the overlay back to the
Yes,
the teams
I
list?
will. So you can.
Oh, does it cycling? Can you not manually switch?
I switched it back again. I clicked the wrong button.
Well, yeah. I mean, so they're gonna have black in the 1 position almost certainly, unless they've changed something since they last spoke to us. Will be black playing that carry. The role he's become so famous in on mouse sports. Things that obviously this anti-mage very, very well known. He's been playing it almost to exclusion recently. A lot of anti-mage coming out from him. And if we see anti-mage in this series, it will mark that Quantic is bending to Black's will rather than the other way around. But something like Gyrocopter, I think, would be far more standard. Funzi plays the mid-roll, a hyper-aggressive mid-roll. Heroes like Queen of Pain, I've seen him dive beyond the tier 3 tower to get kills even for no reason. And OG, of course, a strong Quantic pickup that Goblack really repopularized. Silent will be probably taking the offlane role since the carry, which he normally plays, is actually being taken up by Black. So in the 3 role, we'll have to see what sort of heroes he pulls out. In the past, he played support for Empire on heroes like Io that we see in Bane. And of course, as carry for Quantic, he plays hyper-aggressive heroes like Gyrocopter, which you could see in an aggressive tri-lane with Black farming solo safe, and heroes like Weaver. Goblack, of course, the mad genius of Quantic in some respects, pulling out all sorts of drafts that people have either never seen before or haven't seen in years. The heroes he plays tends to be good, solid supports like Treant Protector, an ideal hero for a captain since you need global map awareness, and Keeper of the Light. We discussed Treant a little bit ago. We don't know if he'll be seen in this series, but something we'll have to hold out hope for because Goblack is the best Treant player in the world, I think. And then that just stays fucking mad, playing the usually the 5-role support, sometimes the 4-role if Goblack's on something like Treant. Bane is his most well-known hero by far. As K-pop said, you can set a watch by the timings of the ganks that he sends out as that hero roaming with Goblack. And other heroes like Shadow Demon. I think we've seen him on Rubik a few times as well.
Yeah, I think so too. And with that, I think like we see more players dropping in. By the way, you can complain to us about the delay, but it's not going to change anything. We're waiting for the last 2 people of Alliance to join. We have already got S4, Loda, and AGM, so you can scream a bit to Bulldog, as well as to who am I missing here? Aki. So if you want to scream at someone, you can scream at them, because they don't set their computers up in time. But yeah, we will be back.
I don't think...
yeah. Quantic is
I
all
don't think
there.
they're watching Twitch chat. They're at a LAN event. They pull out their phone, they pull out the official Twitch app,
And then
they've
have
got a little
no
Xbox in the corner,
delay on the stream.
The app
and then
doesn't have
and then they
chat.
stream cheat.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, that's what they're doing.
That's exactly what
it's
they
a danger, definitely.
Yeah, we are having, of course. What am I saying? Oh, we are for this game. We're gonna have Kanaz. How are you feeling? Because you're sitting
feeling
here.
fine.
You're feeling better.
Feeling good.
Yes.
Feeling good.
Okay.
Feeling great.
Kanaz is gonna be
The
a co-caster.
backstory here.
Yeah,
I don't think we need any backstory.
Okay.
All right.
No backstory. Cool.
No backstory.
So Kanaz feels great and is gonna be co-casting with me for this one. We won't have Sussman K-poptosis because he has to go off to work without any sleep.
Yes.
Yeah, who works?
Yeah. Who works?
Yeah, I work. I don't get paid to do sets yet, so until then, I have to
Until
work
then.
at a call center at night.
Yeah, at nights indeed, without any sleep. And of course, we will have still a statsman. It's actually going to be Vykromond who will be our statsman for today.
Hey.
Yeah, I'll be the stand-in stats.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
So he's going to try to make K-pop proud. It's gonna be a tough call.
I will try to make K-pop proud. K-poptosis.
You got this. You got this.
All right.
Good. So, any last words before we jump ourselves into into the game when it actually starts, but jump ourselves back to the overlay?
You should follow people on Twitter, IMO, and the names are very easily accessible here, there, and like way down there. I'm gonna stop making these gestures. I don't feel good about them.
I like these gestures. I like them. I like the gestures.
Yeah, but follow.
I'm gonna say.
on
I'm gonna
Twitter.
predict. I'm gonna predict to say we're gonna see at least one black anti-mage this best of 3.
Well, that's a tough. Like, wow.
We're gonna see at least one.
You really, you know.
I think so.
Yeah, putting it out on
I'm
the
leaving
line right
so I can
now.
make all these predictions. And
I think he's gonna.
It's a
He'll like
pretty
give an
safe bet.
ultimatum.
It's pretty safe.
AM or I feed. Is that Black style now?
Yeah, that's what it's gonna
No,
be.
he's a really gracious guy. I think if they pick AM, it'll be because they felt it could work. It's not going to be because Black is like, no, I must play anti.
No, I
The
think
fun
Goblin
ends
wants to draft it.
here.
I think Goblin is gonna draft it for him. I think they're
Yeah,
gonna do
maybe.
it.
We
they're
really
gonna do
need
one
to
day.
stop though, because then I can actually
I need to leave.
do some other stuff before the game starts. Because Wave. Okay, Wave.
All right.
Bye.
It works. Awesome.